This conference will now be recorded.
different things with it. And I was like, yeah.
I don't know, I haven't done it. I've heard this a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, I think
It'll switch to
how long
white.
do you think we're gonna make?
Probably 12 minutes.
Oh, you got lucky.
Yeah.
Jay Hool, I don't know if you know who he is, but he caught one a number of years ago. They had to
Let me see if the.
get a motor phone to get it in. It was about 80 some odd miles.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
It's what it is. I think it's coming.
You got this mic.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, I've got pictures and then got like 2-gallon Ziploc bags full of steaks.
Pretty good. And they're good, really good smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can smoke those steaks, marinate them for a day or so, and smoke these, but they're good. They're a lot like a sturgeon.
Yeah.
They're not the same family, but they're real similar. So.
Welcome everyone to the public forum. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, we'll open. Given on is just public input. You probably read a slide about the upgrades and when it was done. We've got 8 cells and 1 small indoor rec area, 4 cells on the north and 4 cells on the south. Existing jail does not meet current separation requirements for male and female inmates. Does not provide required recreation space for the inmates. So I'll ask Tyler to kind of go through maybe a little bit about what we have in mind, why we're doing this.
So I'll start off with just reading kind of my intro letter and what the goal is here. So first of all, thank you guys for attending the public hearing regarding the proposed construction of our new county jail. We sincerely appreciate your time, participation, and commitment to the future of our community. As our county continues to grow and evolve, the need for a modern, safe, and secure detention facility has become increasingly important. A new jail is being considered in the best interest of public safety, ensuring that law enforcement, detention staff, inmates, and the public are served by a facility that meets current and future needs. We understand that projects of this size often raise question about cost and funding. The county has secured approximately $1.5 million in grant funding and has allocated an additional approximate $2.2 million from our existing budget. There are no plans to increase taxes or create a new mill levy to fund this project. In fact, retired Sheriff Witt and county leadership have responsibly set aside funds for nearly a decade in anticipation need for a new jail would eventually arise. Through long-term planning and budgeting, the county has worked to prepare for this investment and hopes to reduce entirely, placing additional financial burdens on taxpayers. The plans for this project have been started in a way to give the public an idea of how the facility will work and look. I do believe the primary question before us is not whether the project can be funded, but where the facility should be located, as this decision will have a lasting impact on our community and your input is both valued and necessary. We are committed to listening carefully to the concerns, ideas, and perspectives of our residents as we evaluate potential locations, and we thank you again for your participation, for helping shape a decision that will serve our county for years to come. Your voice does matter, and we appreciate your involvement in this important decision. So ideally, as you can see in the images, we have plans drawn up to put a facility. These plans show the facility next to the current jail sheriff's office building. With those plans, we had to kind of bounce around on meeting the city requirements for building and come up with something that in the long run helps with the revenue that county jails can bring into the community. The plans that we have drawn up and have discussed are a 32-bed facility. So that would total the operation of our county jail into 41 beds that we could hold at capacity. With those, we've kind of done some digging on how other counties are billing these inmates or billing beds for other counties, Department of Corrections through the state of Montana, federal agencies, and basically anyone that needs to house inmates. And with a 32-bed facility, the word kind of gets through housing costs for inmates. Right now, I believe we're pretty standard, probably one of the lowest counties at like around $55 a day for inmates to be housed in Toole County. We want to increase that to 75 to help build the revenue through our jail, still make it pretty reasonable so that counties will want to contract out with us. And then from there, it's not overstretching. The state of Montana charges roughly $85 to $90 a day for inmates to be housed. And then other counties that are larger scale are charging anywhere between $90 to $115 a day. But $75 a day, we're still able be sufficient for a 32 bed facility because of the way we also monitor them is they have to be visually seen 24/7, but our camera system it can essentially expand from what we have, so we don't have to do new systems, but dispatch can also visually see them while detention goes and gets meals or maybe has an appointment or something like that.
You know, you said there's going to be for the females. Why don't you bump that up to 12 or 16 or something?
For the female house.
For female, go like half and half, like female, do half and half, like 20/20 or something.
So
It's just a thought.
yeah, and the way that it lays out, so we have to meet firstly Montana jail standards, and they can't be within sight and sound of each other, visual of each other. So the way the new facility would work is if the doorways become soundproof, we could have 8 females and then 8 females in the current facility. But if they have visual with each other, which they wouldn't, with the lighting structure of the new facility, but sight and sound where they can talk to each other or anything, then we're interfering with the regulations through Montana jail standards.
It might be possible to put the females out and have segregation or something on the inside.
Or
If needed, put the females like in one of the new cell blocks.
In one of the pods.
Pods. Yeah, and put segregation because all the cells in the current jail are individual cells. So you could put segregation in there, but you couldn't mix male and female in the current jail.
So we wouldn't have that extra space of the pod for.
Right.
Yeah. It would, like, we could have all females.
Yeah. Right.
Look at 32 females, 8 males.
They're good.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, when you had 5 females and 1 male, what was the whole thing? Like, we did it numerous times. How many times?
Yeah.
You know, we would have 6, 7 females, 1 male, they get holding, and the females get the pod.
yeah, and the big thing with the expansion and creating 32 more beds also opens up the opportunity for what we can house. The current female pod, I would estimate, is probably 4 feet by 8 feet. And it's a very small pod. It has a bathroom in it with a sink. And then we ordered kind of an elevated loft style bed that they can store their books or tablets or anything that they have underneath and have like an actual bed off the ground. But that room is something that we've talked about possibly being turned into like a mental health hold or anything, becoming basically just throwing up jail regulated padding on the side of the wall and or just a drunk tank for the 24-hour stay or 12-hour stay that doesn't have someone that can come pick them up. But separating that just to having the females in the 8 pods or 8 dormitory cells to the males on the other side, they also are split by buildings, so they wouldn't have any access to each other, any visual, sound, or anything.
Butch, did you have a comment?
Well,
He answered it.
he asked what I was going to ask.
Okay.
That just seems like it would make sense to me anyway.
Right.
To balance that out a little more. And
There's a lot of different options that we could do with this facility.
yeah, I don't know that would be. one way or the other?
I would say we're in line. Mako essentially took over Montana jail standards, and they've done a huge project in the last few years of having their reps go to every jail. They've been in our jail probably 3 times in the last 3 years. Yeah, and they make pretty much a yearly stop, and they'll go through and say, like for our jail being as old as it is, they'll say this is out of regulation, this is out of regulation. Basically, they give us a list, kind of like a house inspection of this is stuff that needs to be changed immediately, and this is stuff that we can still work with, but look into the future of getting this updated. So like the architect company and engineers that we're talking with build jails around the state. So we know once the new facility is put up, it meets the standards right away.
When you lease out 8 cells, is there any limit to how violent a person you will take in there?
So there is, we basically classify them and we'll segregate inmates based on the charges that they have. But that's where if we don't have females, or we can put 8 females in a pod and then put the violent, like the ones that just can't get along, in a segregated cell by themselves. So we would have the opportunity to move people around and make it work.
So you would take anyone then?
He's asking if, on the lease bids, if you can say, no, we don't want that one.
I mean, we would take anyone, but through the Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, we have a really good relationship with almost every county throughout the state, to where if we're housing somebody and they're a problem, we can call them and say, this isn't working, you need to send us someone else or take this inmate back, and we work with them. But that does happen even now.
Well, I'm thinking like in Arizona, the Mexican mafia is a serious problem in any jail. They cause so much trouble. Then there's many on the outside, and I just wondered if there'd be a limit to something like that.
Yeah, and a big risk factor in a situation like that is when they're singled out, they're not a problem. They try to adapt. And then it's when they're in a prison and there's 50 or 60 of them together. But we've housed gang-affiliated inmates several times in the last few years.
And right now in the current facility, you can do that. You've been there, done that. But you lose a cell in the process.
Mm-hmm.
You lose, so if you're full, you can't do that. You know? So another advantage to the remodel.
Yeah.
So
And
Mako,
it meets all the standards. So you could house anybody anytime. Pretty much, like I do get to center type of thing. Like, let's say Border Patrol brings a gang member in, so you can, because of Mako, you guys are able to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, we meet the standards. So like long-term holds. So the bigger facilities that you see, like Cascade County, Yellowstone County, Lewis and Clark County, Cascade's the most predominant one known as a regional prison. So they have to follow federal standards, which is that 287G, and they meet, it's essentially the Montana jail standards enhanced. But
And then
Part of that.
Yeah, there's really 2 ways to go. You have pre-conviction, right? So they're going through the judicial process. Okay. So if it's a temporary, the federal guidelines aren't as strict as opposed to this person has been sentenced to a federal crime, and now it's a long-term sentence, and that's where the restrictions get a lot tighter.
So I went through the paperwork for federal holds. Like they asked if you guys hold federal inmates for us. I'll send you the paperwork and see if you guys meet the standards. And I started going through it. It's like 75 pages of line items. And I started going through it, and I was like, our jail. So, but
this new jail standard would bring it up to close to that.
And then the other part that I have to. You're like a rebuild of the standard.
But the building would,
Yeah, but the old part was
the
still.
old part would stay, because if we touch the old part, then we have to bring it all up. Which would be another
Okay.
very expensive project.
I will build complete new.
Yeah.
Oh, I would keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, Michelle.
So have you guys explored any other options besides the option?
We've talked about several other options, but this is the only viable one that we've been able to come up with, unless you've got some.
I was just
I mean,
wondering,
that's what this board is.
yeah, well, I was wondering because the facility over there, water tank, I don't know what the situation is. I would think that would already meet that standard.
They didn't have any holding, they have a short-term holding cell, one or two there, but nothing that's the jail. I mean, it would have to be completely rebuilt. And it would be offices maybe, but not jail.
Yeah, so the facility up there would be, I mean, with the building that's currently up there would be the sheriff's office, and then there's processing cells in there. So basically, they have the bathroom. It's technically the federal side classifies it as a temporary 24-hour holding cell. So when Border Patrol has inmates or illegals that cross the border and they're housing 12 to 14 of them, they have somebody at their sunburst station in their dormitory style cells. It's basically like an open floor plan that sits there with them 24/7, because that's part of the standards that they have to meet, and they try to get them out as fast as they can. Right now they're pushing, and these are unprosecuted. They haven't been prosecuted yet, or unconvicted inmates that they're pushing to Spokane, Washington. That's another option where they say, we have 14 that have illegally crossed the border, and can you guys hold them? And we can say, yeah, we can fill up 2 dorms with them. So that's 14 beds that we're getting paid $125 a person at, if we hold for them. But that facility up there, it's the same. I think there's 2 or 3 24-hour processing cells in there. But other than that, the facility would have to be built somewhere in that structure.
So what is people are now?
I think the facility would cost the same. The expense would be purchasing that building.
How much do you think this project will take? I know you said you have 1.5 grant, 2.2 existing available.
And that's just straight from the public safety side of funding. Like, we have our care and custody funding and then the grant. But I think overall, it was
A year ago, it was around 5 million, now it's more like 6. Next year,
7.
yeah, I mean,
So where are you in the process of getting this project completed, not completed, but at least breaking ground? How close do you think you are, Tyler? I mean, we've been talking about this forever, and it's not coming to fruition. But are we looking at a year down the road yet? I would think so, at least.
not till next summer anyhow.
Yeah.
Or even when we start construction.
Ground, yeah, I mean, we have to do these meetings, we have to do public,
Sure.
information.
So you're looking at 2 years down the road.
It's,
A
there's,
year to build it, a year to do the grinding it ground broken?
Oh, from now or from?
Or, yeah, let's just say.
Yeah. And it just depends on whether, how long this process takes, what we decide to do, the engineering, how much longer the engineering probably won't be that much if we get going on it, but the construction companies will all be and booked for this summer.
Sure.
Whether we can fall or not, that's,
Okay, so, close.
yeah.
As far as this kind of thing is concerned.
Yeah. Like fully operational probably about 2 years.
Okay.
Well, one thing we had to do is move all the radios, all our EMS and service radios from where they're currently on the towers there up to the old CATV site up there. So that was a big switch. So it's,
Harris talked about that.
yeah, the part of it, all part of getting some of that done ahead of time so that we don't have to worry about it. That tower needs to sit somewhere else.
Yeah, the one that's there won't work there.
So we haven't even talked about whether the county can use that tower in a different location or whether we'll put it on public surplus and sell it, take it down. We haven't gotten to that just yet.
I think
But
that's a
that-
minor, I think that's a minor consideration.
Exactly,
Way on the bottom of the list.
yeah.
What about the black roof, is that an issue?
No, I mean, they're still building. The jail we have there is flat roof, they're still building buildings with flat. That's the way they designed it, the engineers. Got that all designed with the flat roof.
Follow up on that, I guess, would be, you know, you see some of these older buildings, just rent things, try to renovate them and whatnot. So, are flat roofs that much better engineered now, that the life expectancy is that much longer? Well, how does that part play out?
Yeah, well, this is what they came up with for the engineering, and we could ask them about.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I think they did it so it would have a nice, clean look, like
Right.
match.
And match what's there rather than we can't be able to put a roof on what's there because we'll have to bring it up to anything different than what's there.
Thinking if you were starting out fresh, like,
Yeah.
you do have the, I guess, options to do something that makes more sense long term.
When we were in the city planning meeting, they were really concerned about the height. They said, oh my gosh, the people across the street, they're not gonna be able to see anything. And, well, I mean, there's concerns about the height and the visual. Somebody's gonna see it, or, you know, I don't know. That was some of the concerns that the public had, or that the committee had at that time. So if we can keep it the same height or similar to what's there, I mean, everybody's used to seeing that height of the building. And I don't know how high that is, but it's typical for that size building.
Is it considered a two-story?
No.
No. It's shorter than 2 stories, 1 1/4 or whatever. I mean, it has false ceiling in, so you can, for the HVAC and stuff like that.
It just seems that, I mean, you know, same thing. Correction is
They're all
a
flat
very
roofs.
huge part of the budget, and so it just seems like from a taxpayer viewpoint, anything we could do to make more sense would.
Yeah.
So what if it's another 4 feet up in the air or whatever?
Yeah.
But, you know,
That's what we thought too.
throw that
but-
out for whatever it's worth.
That's what we thought too, until they were throwing a fit over it, so you know,
Is there other grant money available if you were to look at something different?
different.
Well, like expanding more of your jail, cells that maybe would meet federal standards, that you could keep people there longer and use that money that you get from them renting the cells, the federal government, put towards payment on something like that.
That's what this is.
So the big issue with expanding cells or holding more people is
In the current facility,
per jail standards, you have to meet a certain square footage per person. So expanding what we have right now, the plans that are up for the location that it's at, we had to go back and redo the plans because we weren't going to get any easements or anything from the city on requirements from the curb or anything like that. So when we redid it, there was 5 total options. 3 of them still didn't meet the requirements that the city had. And then the 2 that we had, we've exhausted all the square footage that we can because we're including the orange area on this map is the rec yard, which meets the requirements so that, like I said, both that yellow strip that runs north and south, that's a secure corridor, so it keeps the visual, audio, everything between the inmates. So females will still be able to go out and use that rec yard, and then they go through the secure corridor, and then males go out the second one and come into the yard. But the big issue like that we're running into now is they're required minimum 1 hour out of their cell in a rec area. Our rec area is, they have a cell that expands into a common area, day room is what we call it, where both the cells can come out and meet in that room. And then they have a bigger rec yard area that we call it a rec yard, but it's still in the secure facility. That's just where they have board games, a TV, their coffee pot, like a Keurig type thing, stuff like that. But that's where we also run into problems where we have an inmate that's causing problems or being trouble, and we can't tell everybody, well, you don't get this anymore. So he gets locked down in his cell, and even though he's causing problems, he's got to come out for an hour a day. So everyone else gets locked down, and then he gets it by himself for the hour, which isn't a huge issue for that 1 hour that they have to sit in their cells. It's the female side that becomes the problem when they're sitting in that small 4x8 room, and then they come out into our booking area, which is where detention does their day-to-day stuff, where they're tracking what they've done for the day. They might be have like fingerprints for the general public. We might have a new inmate coming in. I mean, today is an example. I took an inmate to a dentist appointment. Someone got arrested while we were at the appointment, so he has to sit in a car, sit in the Sally Port until that inmate gets booked in, or at least until something starts, like the process has started, before he can just walk in there because of liability and risk. We don't want 2 inmates in there with 1 detention officer, or we bring more people in off the street that are doing whatever, patrol checks or public service calls, stuff like that.
And during that, there was already another female that was in there because we didn't have room for her. She was already in our booking room, so we had a guy waiting to be booked in, so we had to move her with another female just standing there for a little bit while we booked somebody in and then brought the other one in. But at this point, this is about as big as we can get where we're at.
Those, the new ones that you're looking at building, really meet your federal requirements. So if you did have open, like empty cells, you could house federal inmates if they had issues with the order.
Yeah, pre-convicted inmates we can house.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
On those agreements, would those guys, let's say prior to beginning construction, let's just say 2 years down the road, will those federal agencies
Yeah, and I can't say for 100% certainty that they will, but this, basically I reached out to surrounding, well, Montana jails that are somewhat comparable in size to what we want to build. And just from doing that, I had a jail, I want to say it was Valley County, called and said, we heard you're building a new jail, we'd like to contract 8 beds. And I was like, we don't even have plans yet, so I don't know, we can't do that yet. And they basically said, well, as soon as this thing touches ground and we're ready to go, we want 8 beds. So with the need of everything in the state, I would say I'm pretty certain that we would get those contracts. But at the same time, I mean, we're looking at a 32-bed, $6 million facility. I don't know what the size is, but Flathead County just got approved for $113 million for a new facility. So comparison in size, I'm assuming that's going to be probably a 500 to 600 bed facility.
And that's the other part of, I don't say, like, why don't we do 60, right? But really, staffing. It's really easy to say, yeah, let's do this, we can hire in whatever we need, so we're making money. But in reality, detention is a really hard position to keep people in longevity. It is draining, both mentally, you're doing a lot of the same thing every day, and you have to, be on your toes because it's dangerous. And so when you start looking at just the logistics of that, that flow in a shift should really have 3 detention officers working all of that together. Just that alone. So then when you start thinking bigger, it's like, well, if we can staff 8 total detention, that's a lot for the county.
Especially when you're competing with like the prison. Pay is an issue there because at the prison they start at our deputy wages, which are our detention makes $10 an hour less than deputies about.
If you contract, let's just say 8 beds with the feds, and then Valley County calls and says, we need 8 beds too, how does that work? You're already contracted with the feds for those 8 beds. Do you contract for another 8 beds with Valley County or whatever county?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you'd be taking up 16 beds. Right. But the question is, you've contracted with Valley County. Do you have to house their inmate, or let me rephrase that. Let's say you have 20 of your own inmates, and you need their 8 beds for 2 more inmates. Can you put 2 of Toole County's inmates in their beds, even though they're paying X dollars for the contract?
We have to have 8 beds available for them. So if they call us up and say, we have 2 people that are coming down.
So you don't have to have this pod specifically for this county and this for feds or anything like that.
It would be written in the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. I'm just saying. So you got 8 beds for Valley County or whatever county.
Yep.
So you just have to give them 8 beds.
Yeah.
And you could use those beds as long as they're not using them.
Yeah.
They have to
Yeah.
return them.
Yeah.
As long as they have 8 beds.
As long as by the time they drive from Valley County to Toole County, if we have a bed for them, we're good.
Yeah, and like I said, the relationships that we have with other sheriffs around the state, for instance, Cascade County, being a regional prison, they probably have the highest day-to-day inmate fees for holding people. But with Sheriff Slaughter, talked to him, we've held inmates for them, or one problem child that they had, and they turn around and house inmates for us. And the big part of them housing inmates is we don't have the bed space, or we just don't meet the actual needs to keep it humane. someone with strong mental health needs, chemical dependency needs where they can do classes and stuff like that, he'll take that on and we house for them. So it's, we don't charge you, you don't charge us, let's just mutually agree with this. So in situations like that, it bounces around. So if Valley County called and said, we need 4 beds and we had 2 available, there's the opportunity of saying, hey, Cascade County, we're helping out Valley County. Can you guys hold 2 of our least problem inmates for 2 weeks? And we're going to house Valley counties for them. And it just kind of agreed upon.
So we do have a second public hearing.
Right. Next week, next Wednesday, 6 o'clock on the 10th. So
Same place.
same place here. If you get the word out, if there's other people that are interested, bring them along.
Or it gives you a chance to think about it and
Yeah, it'll be the same.
look through the material and might come up with some comments and questions.
That pretty much answered. Anybody else have a burning question?
Well, the engineer couldn't make it to this meeting, but he probably will be here next one, right?
If we need the engineer to come next time, he said that he could come next time. He was tied up today. I'm not sure what other engineering questions we might ask him, but if we need him here for the next one, he'll come.
And you're also welcome to write to us any questions. If you're unable to come to it'll be discussed.
Yep.
And added to the minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, I have a lot of different statistics. I mean, to kind of close that out and answer more. In 2025, that increased even more to, we had Richland County, Cascade, Liberty, Lewis and Clark, Teton, Yellowstone, Bozeman Police Department, out-of-state agencies, Beaverhead County, Flathead County, Probation and Parole, Department of Justice for Montana, Montana Highway Patrol, Marshal Service, Helena Police Department, Department of Corrections, and Glacier County. So everyone that I just mentioned would be a minimum $75 a day for us to house their inmates. The longest that we had, Department of Corrections, 434 days we had an inmate house. Other ones, Liberty County, 141 days. And then they range from 1 day to 33, 45, 7. It bounces around. So.
Here's a question. You know, Jack mentioned you guys has kind of been in the process for how many years? Why wasn't this done earlier?
It hasn't been years.
Well, I don't know. I disagree with that totally because
Well, maybe you guys have talked about it this year.
it's been talked about when I was working for the county. Mike Wayne was still around.
Well, it did get as far as
You know. I understand that.
So as far as I could tell, people that have worked on this, looking at trying to come up with some plans, they get going. They're like, this is something fun. Back when I first started, when Jack was working there, our numbers were less. After COVID, stuff picked up. People moved in from out of state. Also, all this stuff going on with the prison workers. We just have more crime now. more violent crime, way more inmates. When I first started, there were days where we had 0. Now, I don't think we've dipped below 7 in a long time. And we're over capacity, having other counties hold for us, or having people sleep on the floor if they have to, or just.
The need is
The need is
finally.
Yeah, the need has increased a lot. The numbers, we're at it.
The need has been there for years.
Yeah.
It's been there for years.
Yeah, the 9 point whatever inmates a day average, that's over our capacity. And that's with us getting people being released and us not arresting people on certain things, felony only, stuff like that. So it would be way higher if we actually kept them. So.
Are there any legitimate concerns that have surfaced over the years that should at least be thought about and attempted to address that would hang us up, if you did go forth with this? Sometimes a little pre-planning can minimize.
You're right, yeah, we've tried to, talk about anything that has come up. I can't think of any, unless you have something specific.
No, I really did not. Just
Yeah.
trying to think of something other than just the cost, the
Right,
investment.
exactly.
Here's everybody, but other than that, if there was any, not being able to see over the top of the jail, whatever.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Just anything that was actually a legitimate concern.
And it takes time to put enough money away to not bring it to a vote on the ballot and burden the taxpayers with extra taxes.
And kudos to those that have been in there that have the foresight to do
To
that.
start saving and putting that money away so that, yeah, I mean, that all plays a part.
Is there something that we as a community can do to help make sure that this goes forward and?
There's a lot of misinformation about what's actually happening. I mean, so if you can spread the word about the benefits of that would go a long way. Into the public's.
Do you have relatives or,
No.
you want to come out of retirement?
No.
No.
I just want to say something really quick too. Thanks to the County Sheriff's Office.